And following our installation ceremony, we're going to have Jim come up and finish the state of the industry that Jim started a couple of months ago. I guess it was like in January. And then if there's any time left, we'll pull another slip out of the fishbowl. But we have a 4 o'clock hard stop out of this room to be back here at 5:30 in time for a happy hour. So,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Nicastro.
Do you want your official paper? Here.
Yeah, because I can't remember that.
We probably
You
don't.
can keep them all. And
Oh,
if they
okay.
win, you can keep it or whatever.
Okay, okay, all right.
Not
All
too
right.
worried.
So you don't mind, you don't know which one you want to put it in?
No, you can do it. I forgot about that, yeah.
Which would you like?
I don't know. I didn't even think about putting it
Do you
in.
want a fire pit
Sure.
or
don't know.
gardening?
Whatever
I don't
I
see you
get.
as a gardener.
No, we do garden.
All right, Joe, you've been elected president of the Mid-Atlantic Community Papers Association. It will be your duty to preside at meetings and to abide by the bylaws of the association. It will be your responsibility, among with the officers and board members, to develop and implement the aims and objectives of the association. Joe, are you prepared to accept the oath of office as president of MACPA?
Yes, I am.
All righty. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joe Nicastro,
I, Joe Nicastro,
do solemnly promise and pledge
do solemnly promise and pledge
that I will faithfully execute the duties of president
that I will faithfully execute the duties of president
to the best of my
to the
ability
best of my ability,
and further the objectives of the association.
further the objectives of the association.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our new president, Joe Nicastro. Joe, thank you so much. Congratulations.
We did do a background check.
Is he a politician?
Yeah, that's it.
I
You need a picture?
Put that paper down and I'll have you.
There we go.
Okay. Do you want to?
You're too late.
You're late, we read that.
We found your replacement.
Hand him the gavel because it looks like he's handing you the gavel.
Which way am I going? This way?
Yeah, can you look this way, John? All right, very good.
Sticking out, wasn't it?
Thank you, sorry I have to leave.
Wait, we need a speech.
A speech, there's no speech other than the fact that it's 20 years ago since you installed me last time. Almost. That was a short-lived presidency. But we're back, so it's all right. But yeah, I apologize. I look forward to doing it again, full-time this time, and do what we can. MACPA's been a great association for me, just like all of these. If anybody that ever joins, that's the problem. We all know because we're here. It's just we don't get, other people don't understand how important it is. So I will do my best this year and make the time to put in the time and do what needs to be done. So I appreciate that. And again, sorry I have to leave today, but I do have a political obligation tomorrow morning I have to get to at 8 o'clock. So otherwise I would have stayed. I've always stayed at these things and I like to get away. Keeps my wife home and I get to go away for a little bit. So it's always good.
I am videotaping this.
I know.
And you're being recorded.
Mary, I'm only kidding. That's all. Anyway, thank you all and good to see everybody again and meet people that I haven't seen. So
Drive carefully.
thank you very
Well, it
much.
sounds like there's a lot of to-dos that we have to do
There is.
from this.
Yeah, we're going to do a lot of things.
Yes,
Thank you
yes,
very
you bet, you bet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll give you
Well, you can officially hold on to that
Oh,
now.
that's right.
Yeah,
It'll come in
Yeah.
handy.
yes.
For what? A lot I can a lot I can do with that. A lot I can do with that. That's for sure.
Okay.
Well, thank
Anybody
you
else
all.
need Joe's card while he has his out?
Thank you for
All
doing
right.
this. I
Oh,
appreciate
you bet,
it.
you bet. We'll get you home in one piece.
I know how they are.
Jersey, this is a Jersey, yeah, this is a Jersey zip code, yeah.
I'm recovering.
You could, but don't call till after 3 or
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I was.
Now Jimmy.
Yes, now Jimmy. I'm gonna move this.
All right, sounds good.
So speech.
I won't call it. Everything in the don't call me. All right. I'll get this.
Would have expected her to stay.
Because I love this little thing.
Savings guy.
I just wish my pastor wouldn't have screwed it up.
Uh-oh.
Because it used to be you could put it up.
Put a weird on there, okay.
Yeah. In January, we had a Zoom meeting with publishers from all over the United States, with Tim Bingaman and Kevin Slim, on the state of the industry. And what we wanted to do was have Jim do sort of a follow-up to it and share. I'm sure Tim shared what he talked about and whatnot. Share a little bit more about it with you. So,
Great.
yeah.
Well, thank you.
Take it away.
You know, as Tim mentioned, if you're on the call, as community publishers, it's not the doom and gloom that you're hearing in some of the trade journals. There's quite a few companies that are profitable out there. There's some distinctions between corporately owned and privately owned, and the corporately owned side, the Gannett's of the world, they're struggling a little bit, but they're moving in different directions. I think the main thing that we want to take away is that, as you've talked here today already, is the evolution of the world. 24 years ago when I started, you know, obviously you had very strong print products, you still do, but what's the core to that? And as we mentioned earlier, the content is king, and that you have great content. It's something that you can't go to CNN for, you can't go to the, you know, local radio station when unless, you know, there's a hot school board issue that goes national or something like that. But you're the pulse of your community, and you're media experts. So the evolution has become that you're a media company now, and you're starting to engage folks not only through your print product, but as you take on the digital initiatives and you're having conversations about how do you monetize your website, or you have e-newsletter programs, how are these different pieces, what used to be a blueberry pie as an analogy, is now a blueberry, a lemon meringue, and cherry and so on, that you're collecting your revenue through. And I think that's the things that you want to continue to have those conversations moving forward, and gaining that knowledge as you're working with companies like January Spring, learning from each other as far as what's working in monetization of websites. And the good news is, and this is the one thing I wanted to touch on earlier too, as we're talking about digital, and I know Allison's talking about having a digital webinar later on too, but when I talk about the content, those conversations when you're talking about the print side versus the digital side, those are very similar in nature. And I use an analogy of a conversation I had just about a week ago. We have a publisher in Texas. He has about 100,000 unique users that goes through his website. And traditionally, it's been a situation to where, well, the web ad is just a simple add-on to the print sale. And he says, well, how do I monetize the website? And we start going through those same nuggets of information that we talked about, that we try and work with you from the CVC perspective. You know, okay, you have the bank ad in the print product, but can you have conversations with them about some incremental revenue that says, you know, what's your online banking program? And reach different customers, or reach those different zip codes that you may not be servicing with your print product. So again, it's gathering that same type of data that we've always done with you, learning those nuggets, and going out in the field and with the same type of sales process, sales mentality, providing solutions to your customers, and gaining that incremental revenue as well too on the sales side. Like I say, beyond that, the industry, like I say, you can feel that it's strong. There's going to be, you know, combating that branding image, as you mentioned in the recruiting segment as well too. You know, if there's a philosophy of people coming into the print industry, you know, do we shift conversations around topics like flexibility in your workday, you know, and mentioning how you're on your own as an entrepreneur, and working around some of those lifestyle things that the younger people are interested in. One conference I was at, there's if you know Gordon Burrell, he tracks a lot of industry data. And, you know, he made a presentation, and this, I believe the publication was in Arkansas, that there's some TikTok influencers who have a greater number of followers in a community more than the local TV station. So it's gaining insight into who those people are, why that happens, and again, it comes down to, again, the content. And you have tremendous content that you can share with the community, and then maybe tapping into some of those newer, younger people with the technology side and bringing that all together, again, to where the pie just used to be blueberry. You have some of those different flavors in there now that creates that same type of revenue stream or even better. So that's kind of my snapshot, kind of as a follow-up to where Tim and Kevin were. Be happy to open for questions or anything beyond that.
So two things, even when I'm sharing in presentation, you said something very key, is that the print and the digital customer are two different. So our print customer is not the digital. When we're talking to people, we offer the integrated solution because you reach our total audience when you do a print and digital solution. So there's value there because 64% are looking at it on the phone.
Right.
And so you don't want to miss that opportunity. But the other one, we're working on a campaign now, and we're going to reach out. So it's interesting, those Twitter influencers, they like to see themselves, people like to see themselves in print.
Right.
And so it's an opportunity for a partnership. If you're looking at maybe a food influencer and you're doing something on restaurants,
Right.
you know, they would gladly partner. So they bring their whole following with, you know, on your digital platform with like one, what is it, where's Ron, is he? Ron, talk about that one person where you get 1 million, the person that you're partnered with, and with one post, that influencer brings their whole half a million audience too. He can talk about, he has that kind of relationship, that
Just like you're talking about the TikTok, and they have their following and what have you. And a lot of times, content is king, but sometimes it depends more on who's delivering it.
Right, right.
And so we have been fortunate in engaging a few social media influencers who have a following way beyond our normal following. And not all of it is in our geographic area, but you know, some of our social media doesn't matter where you are, you want to create engagement.
Right.
You know, and hopefully that engagement will motivate you to follow up and all that. And we try to point things back to our website. And so we ran into somebody that has a social media dashboard and have all these influencers that they've engaged in. So we did one tweet within 6-7 months ago, and we reached over 11 million people.
That's
Exactly. And that's, yeah, and that's one of those things.
So it wasn't us, it wasn't organic, but it was, at least that's definitely show something going viral.
Oh, 11 million hours set by.
But Paris and I were just in New York at a Google conference, last week before? Yeah, and Google had all of these content creators that were creating content that was essentially, Google was kind of highlighting them, you know, and they created all these content, and they would, content, they were getting 5 million, 10 million, 11 million, everything's digital, impressions a month. And the overarching theme of the conference was the power, and you mentioned this, the power and the necessity in this day and age for collaboration.
Correct. Correct.
Because if you try to keep doing what you're doing by yourself without partnering with somebody, then you're going to fall behind.
Right.
And I'm not sure, we're not going to get into this now, but you know, in digital advertising, there's direct sales and then there's programmatic.
Right.
The money opportunities are in programmatic.
Right.
But you have to have scale.
Right.
You know, so collaboration helps you get that scale.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And like I say, there's the different elements, and again, knowing your community and the resources that you have, the connections you have, just a personal analogy, one of your members, I don't know if they're here today, but What's Up magazine that has Annapolis, Eastern Shore, and things like that. My daughter lives in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and she got married last July. About 30% of her wedding was generated off of ideas for the e-newsletters and a bridal fair that What's Up magazine puts on and puts out, as far as, you know, just regular content they're pushing out there, their e-newsletters and things like that. So again, it's the same things that you've been doing in print. You're putting them on some different platforms, and again, you know, if anything, there's some synergies there that can be cost savings, and there's a lot of software tools out there that are available to help you, again, continue to be profitable and strong, and be, like say, a media company now, and be those media experts for your community.
Can I say one more thing that we did prior to our participation in the ad transformation by Google? We would give away our digital value added. We don't do that anymore because there is value in the digital.
Absolutely.
That's more valuable.
Right, that's a whole nother audience that they can't get through, but except through you.
And that's a prime point when you're talking about the sales training of your staff and things like that. Again, that analogy from the publisher in Texas, because he kept getting the objection is, well, you know, they're getting it for free. It's like, well, we're going to maybe put a package together now that's going to be a different price structure, and have those conversations why it's no longer free. Because, like I say, if you're reaching a different zip code, or you have some opportunities that you want to pursue a different type of customer than you have in print, there's definitely value there that you're going to bring to them, and it's just a matter of having those conversations.
So one of my favorite things that you guys have been doing is allowing us to follow the trending of the dailies and the industry, our piece. But we're always interested in that piece, because that piece, of course, we have to typically share. I think everybody has a daily in their particular market. And as you say, the Gannett's of the world. So as you are really well positioned to tell us what the heck is going on with that, because it looks like a holy mess from a recent.
Yeah, I think a lot of those are, the question that I would say is, while we have dailies and the house that we do as well too, but what is a daily anymore? They're reducing their press runs from 7 days or 6 days down to 3 days. We're approaching the same type of community newspaper categorization that we had 25 years ago if you're printing twice a week. So, those are some fine definitions that, again, we're moving away from some of those old definitions to where, community publication versus community publication, and getting out there and just kind of going head to head with the competition.
Our side, we can handle it.
Exactly.
Do you see any trending toward anything emerging as major regionals or national, like they used to be in the way back?
Not so much. Definitely, like say, you might see a few in the magazine side, but not in the newspaper side.
As a historian here in Pennsylvania, the Harrisburg paper, which is now a shadow of itself, used to be on Sunday bought all the way across at least the eastern part of the state. Like we used to pick up the Harrisburg newspaper as the news.
Right.
And that just kind of, so that's not going to reemerge as a pattern, because we don't see the dailies being strong enough anymore.
Right.
They're all in retreat, it seems.
And like I say, that goes into that same type of thing as far as the content that they're covering and where you can access that anymore. And I think, from that perspective, their competition is greater going that direction than the competition of them coming towards you. They're trying to cover that same territory, but you're right here and talking to your folks right here.
Jim, during that State of the Industry, the comment was made that print drives people to your website. Where's the data for that? What can I show an advertiser that just says, oh, I just use the internet?
I think there's some retention as far as one item that goes into it. You know, we have the retention scoring on the publication, readership study, that's one area you can look at. I think as far as specific market, that's one of those things that we can do within the supplemental online studies. But again, you're an established brand already, and where do you go out and what website do you go to know what you're already putting out there? And that's the thing, that you know, if you're effectively cross-driving traffic, and again, people know your brand, they may connect to your print product for the banking ad as far as a traditional open the checkbook, but they may also see your brand as far as, you know, doing online banking ad as well too. So that, again, you're driving that conversation from your core strength and building those same relationships that way. But as far as the actual traffic, that's where we get into some of the nuts and bolts, where we can do the online study and say, okay, here's the people who responded from the print survey, here's the people who responded from the website, and where's the matchup, the demographic matchups, traffic matchups, or any particular, you know, competitive, editorial, et cetera. We can look at those things.
Can I, because I'm in that world
Sure.
as well? Google Analytics, there is the data from that, and there's one piece where Google doesn't know how to track it, so they'll just make it other, okay? And if it happens to be coming from the publication, if on every link that you have in your publication, you use this thing called a UTM. And a UTM, it does, but I would tell you, UTM is actually what Google's first name is, okay? And the UTM, if you use bit.ly.com, bit.ly.com, to create these little short URLs, you can put the UTM in there. I can show anybody, I can show how to do that. You put in there information that says, this came from the ad that was in the merchandiser or the Courier News Weekly or whatever.
That's nice.
And
That's
it,
nice.
yeah, it tells it. And then what happens when a person clicks on that and goes to that, Google then has to give you credit on your Google Analytics.
So are you saying that this is clickable, your PDF flip page is clickable?
Yes, as long as the PDF is clickable, it's going to collect that data.
That's what we need to do.
But that's not the question, that's not the point I heard. The point I heard was, I picked up this paper, this wonderful little paper that I picked up for free, and it says, you should be driving a Cadillac. And I think like, yeah, I should be driving a Cadillac. So I put that paper down, and I call up Cadillac.com. Where is the data that proves I just did that?
Yeah.
That's,
Well, I think asking the
yeah.
question in your survey that, because we're going to do the survey, and Tim said you absolutely want to put in that the question, what is it?
How did you hear about us?
You know, how often do you go from
Print to web.
the print ad to, and then you actually ask that question?
Yeah.
Well, I'll use your.
so two pieces. The one piece takes care of the actual, a person was on that ad, clicks on that URL to go to the website.
Right.
Yeah.
Could you also not use the UTM in the URL that you posted in your ad in the paper? And they type it in?
Yeah.
Would they do the same thing?
Except what John, I think, is saying is that people don't necessarily do that.
I guess you do a QR code.
You could do QR code, yeah.
QR code.
That's what we, yeah, I
Well,
get what you're
the
saying.
beauty of the QR code is Bitly creates a QR code for you, free.
So these have ads in here about QR codes. That's one way that you can track
There
it.
you go.
It,
You know, John, it's sort of like the old, I'm going to old school now.
where somebody says, oh, we don't get any response from you as the merchandising, but they run in the daily news, and somebody says, I saw the ad.
You never
It also,
credit.
yeah, right, they don't,
Yeah, or they saw the ad in the merchandiser, and then they heard it on the radio, and then they saw a billboard, and they're gonna say the last thing they, it's the age-old question we've been asking for
Yep.
years.
The way it's phrased is, how do you respond to ads in the Franklin Shopper?
Oh,
And then it's call the business, go to the business website, you know, go in person, that kind of thing.
but generally, that is also based on, they don't necessarily click on the first one. They've seen it digital, they've seen it here,
Right.
they've seen it on the phone.
Right.
And generally, so that's actually why we offer those integrated solutions like that. It's not when they first saw this, they
Right.
see it here, they see it on the flip page, now they're gonna see it here, then they go to the website, then they've seen it 4 times. Oh, let me just see what this is about.
Right.
And so
It may
it's
not
not
be
that
the
one
first one, it may
time.
be the last one.
Right, it may be
Yeah.
the last
Right.
one I've seen it. They
Yeah.
say what you have to see it like 5 times, I don't know, you
Right.
probably are familiar.
Right.
5 times. So now I've seen it, now here it is again in the paper. Okay, let me just check this out. So now we're finding a lot of our ads, our customers, we have literally 2, 3 ads in this one paper, this 12 pages, and they're scanned. They're this thing.
You know, it's funny, they sort of disappeared for a
They did
while.
go.
Yeah.
And now they're back
Now
with
they're
the
back.
vengeance.
Well, that's because of pandemic.
Well, it's
The
also,
restaurants are actually what saved the QR code.
I think it's also that you used to have
How about that?
the scanner,
Yes.
and
Yes.
now you can just use your
Yeah.
camera,
Yeah, it'd be
because
much
the
easier.
the first time a restaurant gave me, scan the QR code, I'm like, I don't have a QR code reader anymore.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, you just use your
I'll
camera.
just
Well, now I
pass this
can.
around. So these are posts that we're doing. Oh, it's actually a blog that we did for a client. Let me see if I can move it up. You can see, I'll just send this around and you can see it. We actually branded, we bought our, for a couple of bucks a month, we actually have it branded to ICForYou.com, and then it has the piece in there that goes into every ad, but here's a QR code. I can change the QR code. I can actually put their logo in the middle of it. I can change the color. I can do all that really funky stuff to it. And you can get that with the free delivery. But then this has the UTM. So you're going to see in this whole line, it tells you, it will tell you, it's really a weird name for it. It will actually tell you what the source is, where it came, when it was, and when they look at their Google Analytics and see that 8 of those clicks came through from that. Yeah.
So it doesn't show up on your Google Analytics, it shows up on the advertisers'
True.
Google
True.
Analytics.
True.
Right,
For
they
that,
can,
yes.
they can see,
Yeah. But it's telling them where it's coming from.
exactly,
Yeah.
that's what they. so we
Alice,
can-
I'm old and I'm hard of
campaign.
hearing.
I'll write it all down.
What are the letters? UTF, UC?
UTM.
DM. See, I have
If you
them all
look
twice.
UTM, you will find out UTM was I don't know what the acronym, the name was, but that's the acronym for Google, what it was, before it was Google. The crap I know.
It's like
There is-
unified tag or something.
The crap I
Should we
know.
ask Siri?
Ask me about what's there.
Any other questions I can answer, or we want to move back to fishbowl?
I don't know.
We're at things that go
Oh, Robin,
industry-wide, right?
Universal Transverse Mercator.
there you go.
Yeah, that clears it up.
Why
I'm
that?
just reading it.
What did he say?
Universal Transverse Mercator. MERCATOR.
Something to do with a
That's
map,
what Google
right?
was.
Somebody Google Mercator.
Plane coordinate grid system, making
Okay.
a map projection of which
Big,
they
right, big map. I know the map part.
Okay, I'll help. And what does that mean here? They used that name because they were describing the layout as they were doing the whole language format.
There you go.
How's that for?
Well, we're all smart.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
That's a great question.
Just look it up.
Jeopardy.
Yeah,
It will be.
that's a great Jeopardy question.
Conflicts of interest.
No one will get that. Yeah, that's
Sorry
for
about
$1,000.
I just needed them to
Yeah.
see what can be done to prove
Absolutely.
that they're producing the results.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a two-pronged approach.
Absolutely. If you can take that URL and you can change it to your data, all of a sudden they can't give the dailies credit.
Yeah.
The free business is one of those pockets. Good helps.
Absolutely, yeah.
Has to be
Advertising.
Particularly if you're a local.
That's a good question.
And one of the things is, we talked, talking with Joe right before he left, you know, sometimes the way it looks, when you first started at your kitchen table, maybe now you're back at your kitchen table,
Yes.
but you have a lot more resources at your fingertips to make it time efficient and things like that.
Yeah, when it gets too big, and that's some of the reasons why some of those things aren't complete. The folks that are right side, very specific and seem to be doing okay. So I don't understand. And then, when you look at it, you look at the back side of it, and you look at all the accountants that are, and that is an accountant instead of. Right? And you would recognize one because you guys are. And it's like an accounting firm.
All right, shall we round up? Good, not taking a break, and we just roll into this next one? All right. Oh, we have, oh, by the way, let's take a moment of just silence because Jen's father is not doing well and she had to leave. So just take some silence and your own prayer, please. Amen. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Gave me goosebumps. Yes. Oh, she's coming. She said, I have to come back tomorrow. This is great. So to hear that, that's great when we have that said. I don't know who put this in, but it's not about sales. It is new phone system, question mark, cloud hosted or on-premise.
That's me. We're
That
learning.
was, all right,
I
Margaret.
missed the question. Could you say it again?
Okay, I will again. New phone system, cloud hosted or on-premise.
So we're looking at a new phone system, and everything's in the cloud now.
Right.
But it's by the month. I get so tired of being month to month to month on things, rather than, you know, how you used to just buy software and you were once and done, now you gotta pay monthly. Well, that's the way this phone system is.
Yeah.
It's like, so forever I'm paying, you know, a monthly fee for a phone system. What are you laughing about, Robin? Month to month to
Robin,
month.
do you have any ideas?
Yeah. So,
His
I mean,
lips are squealed, huh?
I've got a price from the company we currently use, and then I've got, I'm calling Comcast too, but I've asked a couple of people, and it seems like the cloud-based is the way to go. It has all these bells and whistles, you know, we're not sure that we'll actually use.
Really?
But we use Ring Central.
Ring Central, I have seen that one.
Ring Central, and for us, the small.
Ron, hang on, hold your thought. You have a very tiny voice. Okay.
We use Ring Central, and it works for us. They have solutions for small businesses, big businesses, whatever, right? You know, and so almost like the what is it? The Liberty Mutual pay for only what you need and what have you. You know, so it's cloud based, it's internet based. So if your internet goes down, then it's down. You know, but you can have so each one of your employees will have their own number, right? And so if I call you on your number, you can have that number ring at your desk, on your cell phone, in your house, or wherever you want it to ring. It will also send you an email when you get a call, so you never miss any calls, you know. And you can go into the portal and track all of your call activity, you know, for everybody in your business or for yourself, you know. And this is for, and also you have your phone number is automatically your fax number if anybody still wants to fax, you know. So, you know, for instance, we still get a lot of payments through fax, you know, credit card fax. That'll come straight to, yeah, believe it or not, there's still people, matter of fact, there's an agency right here in Pennsylvania, Harberlin. That's how they pay all their bills. They pay all their bills with credit card through a fax machine, you know. Yeah, you know, but so and so the credit card form is faxed to your number, and you open it up and it's a PDF, so you can forward it to your accountant or whatever. So look into Ring Central.
Do they charge you by the user?
They charge you by the user, yeah. Charge you by the user. So, they have different plans. So, you know, I think we pay a yearly plan, I think. But it is, say what now?
Probably saves you 2 months.
Yeah, they give you different options. But the thing I like about it is, say if we got 10 employees, we have 10 users, and we hire one, it's very easy to get that 11th. So everybody has their own number, and you know, there's no excuse for ever missing a call.
Is there a desk phone?
Yeah, it'll ring. You can have it ring to a desk phone or ring wherever you want. So in my office, I have my phone, and it will ring right there. And even though I'm working remotely, I don't hear it, but I get, you know, I don't have it routed to my cell phone, but I have it routed to my email. I get an email that I have a call, and then I click on the little icon, and I can listen to it on my computer, on my phone, or whatever.
So is there one number for your business, or do people have?
No, everybody has their own number.
So there's no general number, if I'm calling the Washington Informer.
We have a general number. The general number is 202-561-4100. All right.
Yeah.
So then, you know, it'll prompt you if you're looking for whatever, you know. But then I have my number, which is 202-888-6835. Denise's number is 202-888-6834. Somebody is 6833. So they assign everybody their own individual number. And you can turn them on and off as you need. As people leave, you know, you can, you know, yeah. So
It sounds very user-friendly.
it's very user friendly. And I'd say if I had to say a downside, the only downside is it is internet based, and if for any reason your internet goes down, then you don't have phones until your internet comes back up.
That's what
You
they
know.
hosted in the cloud.
Yeah. So
Right.
Over IP.
yeah. So I mean, it'll ring on a landline unit, but it's not a landline solution. If that makes sense. Yeah, if you wanted to, you don't have to, but if you wanted to.
Okay, Robin, come
I'm
over
on the
here.
Ring Central site right now, 0 to 20, 1 to 20 users, 20 users per month, $20 per month per user. It's at an annual rate, so you pay it up front.
$400.
No,
$20 per.
$240.
Up to 20.
Oh, 20.
$20 per user per month, up to 20 users
$240 a year.
per user.
Per user.
But Ron, I'll bet if your internet is down,
Sorry.
if your internet is down, Ring Central is still up,
Yeah, Ring
and it would
Central's
still,
still up.
and it would still ring to your cell phone, so you're not out.
Yeah, good point, because actually you can.
I'm guessing, I'm not-
If you do go into, because at any time, I can go into the portal. You just put in your phone number and everybody has a password. And then you go into that portal and you can see all of your call activity. For instance, Ruth calls me, you know, and I didn't capture her number. You know, I heard the voicemail, but I didn't capture her number. I can go into the portal and see where that call originated and get her number, or even listen to it again if I need to. You know.
And on ours, which is not Ring Central, it's through our computer, this is say to people who have our internet, you can also, even if you were in my contact list, it would tell me it was you. But if they're not in the contact list, then it doesn't.
And I'm thinking this system is, if you have a disgruntled employee leave, you can shut their number off.
You can shut the number off,
You
yeah.
own the number.
You can either shut it off or reassign it to
Yes,
somebody else,
right.
yeah.
But they wouldn't have access to the number, is what I'm saying.
Same thing with like an email.
Right,
If
right.
if somebody
Yes.
left like that, you wouldn't want them to have access to that email anymore either, so. I missed the days when you just dialed a number and somebody picked up and said, how may I help you?
He's not here.
And then,
She's not here.
right, although we still do that.
When you get transferred to someone else.
Yeah.
All right. Was that pretty good?
Yep.
That was pretty good. Another good one.
Has anybody tried Skype or anything like that? Because that's very inexpensive here.
I haven't heard of Skype in a long time.
Skype is still around.
I use it all the time, every day.
Yeah.
That's your primary
But-
phone you use? It'll ring to my cell phone, it'll ring to my office.
Yeah.
Does it
work in an
office with other
Skype.
It's Skype. I used to do meetings with Skype. Yep.
Skype don't
I don't know
work.
how it would work for 20 people, I don't know, I haven't tried it, but it's pretty cheap. And it
Well,
works
Robin, check.
I will.
Okay. So I have one here. Digital sales.
Yeah, we've already.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's see what else we got. Oh, same thing. This is Ron Burke, looking for digital sales and ad app people. Okay, we are exhausting that one. Okay. Okay. All right, so I don't know who this is. Share your best cost-cutting measure you have enacted this past year or years. Who might that be? Could be Joe, or it could be Jen. Who is it?
Me.
That's John! John!
The
Who's the
treasurer.
tightest spot in the room? Come on now.
Oh, that's true! That is true. So tell us why you wrote that.
Well, I'd like to cut, well, it's the same reason we're all interested. We want to cut costs. That's right.
Yes.
Our costs are increasing, paper's up, labor's up, hospital, medical benefits are, postage is up, thank you very much. Gas.
Gas.
Sales are not.
Yes.
So something's got to give. What have you done to save money at your shop?
Close your office.
Close your office.
That's what we did. Saved about $2,000-3,000 a month in rent, utilities,
Yeah, but they've got a
and
press.
garbage collection, just everything.
But they have a press. They print.
So everybody's home.
So we do too.
And everybody works from home. Even a graphic designer, who's my son.
Yeah. Yep. Well, there's one.
So I'll tell you one thing, and I'm gonna be embarrassed to say this, but I did a little research this year. We use Campaigner for our email.
Campaigner?
I looked at what we were paying for the year and what we actually sold email-wise for the year, and I went, so we lowered the cost of our email and now actually are covering the costs of what Campaigner costs.
You talking about the email newsletters?
E-blast, anything. I mean, we use it for our own use. We've used it to correct some, maybe there was a mistake in a print edition, we've used it for that, but we weren't selling it, and it was costing us a fortune each month. So now, hopefully, we just implemented it beginning of the year, but so far now, our salespeople have a better opportunity to sell it because it's a little less expensive. We're selling more, which, oh my, it's March 1st, and 2 weeks ago, we had more sales than we did all of last year.
Nice.
Wow.
So.
And what's it called? Campaigner?
Well, it's Campaigner, but it's probably the same, Constant Contact.
Okay.
MailChimp, whatever you use, make sure that you're covering the cost of it. I mean, I looked at it and I went, oh God, it was horrible. The
Wow.
money we were losing every year because we weren't using the program to its full extent.
Right.
We use constant contact.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's funny how all those monthly subscription stuff, just like you said with the phone, they all add up. And you gotta make sure you're getting, you're covering your costs, and, yeah.
On Constant Contact, are you paying attention to your heat map that is on each of the emails?
No, because someone else in our team does that.
Yeah, because I work with Colette Jacobs with Adam Street Publishing, and actually helped her, showed her how, when people were scrolling through this mega long email, where they stopped. Where they stopped. And what I said was, you need to do your favor, and everyone below that needs to go in a second email. So that you give them, yes, so that you give them the same due diligence. So double it up, because they're paying. You know, those advertisers down here are paying the same.
And they don't know they're not getting, well,
Yeah, but if they are above the fold, we talk about above the fold. Well, above the fold has its same thing in email. Mhm.
So how much are you selling your ads for now?
So when we first started selling them, they were $250
For you blacks.
per location. So, of course, at that time, we had 3 locations. We dropped them to 50.
And what are, like, we do a weekly email newsletter, and we have two spots available on it.
Yeah, so we don't do that. I use it for, I've done business-to-business emails with our specialty products and website design stuff. I used it for letting people know our Go Local magazine was out on the street, things like that. We used it a lot for
Internal stuff.
for making good on an ad that there had a mistake in, but we never really sold them to customers.
Mhm.
So are you selling like a e-blast of an ad?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
They
Yes,
can create a new ad if they want, or send us something
Yeah.
different, but yeah.
And Angela, one of our salespeople, has a car dealer.
Yep.
He's done like 5 of
Bennett,
them.
Toyota.
And it's a car dealer that, let's face it, none of us are getting those new car dealers like we used to. And it was a way to get them back into using us, and they seem to like it.
Yeah, it's-
That's
How
great.
many do you
That's
send
great.
out?
Oh, it can vary. So anywhere from 6,500 to Lebanon has probably about 7,500.
Oh, we're more than that.
Are you
So no, we're
using,
about 15,000 total.
are you using your own in-house lists?
Correct.
How'd you generate
It took a while. So anytime our summer sweepstakes, which is a huge promotion,
Yeah.
we ask for email addresses.
Okay.
You know, anytime we're out and
Classified
about,
ads online,
all
like,
our
they're gonna get ordered in.
customers are automatically put in. So, you know, it's not like it used to be where, oh my God, I remember when I first got my email address, I didn't want anybody to have it. I didn't want all the junk.
And
People aren't listening.
Well, you can have, the opt-out is so easy now anymore.
so ours around Christmas was at 9,600, because I got an audit, Google Analytics report on 2 of them that I sent out in December. They were around 9,600 to 9,700. I think beginning of the year, it went down maybe 300 or 400. People can unsubscribe if they want, but then I know the last, it was coming back up. I just saw that the other day.
Went back down again.
Okay, so it does
The
fluctuate.
problem with
but-
it is finding a happy medium, because like,
Yeah.
we did lose quite a bit, unsubscribes in February.
Yeah.
It has to
But-
be an ad per.
If you blast out a bunch
Yeah.
of them within a short period of time, you'll
Then
start
people are
seeing
gonna get
people
sick of seeing it.
unsubscribing from it.
So maybe
But-
limited with that.
Yeah, so I think you have to find the right balance,
I don't know.
which we're not quite there yet, but this was only the end of the second month of doing this.
Yeah.
So one thing I learned from Alex was she's still a contact.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I used to be an ALE.
You gotta
Oh,
constantly scrub your list.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
because you don't want a lot of hard bounces and, yeah.
But I tell you what,
Or
Alex
undeliverable.
knows, I do a lot of them, and they're very lucrative.
We do sign up
A
for
good
finally get the
industry
newsletter and that kind of-
for them are the theater, event venue industries.
Yeah.
When they book a production, what's the one thing they need? Event, not safe.
Yes.
So you can send out an e-blast
get
for a
immediate
show that's
results.
coming, and it'll take them straight to their ticket page and, you know, so forth and so on. And so
Yep.
I do a lot of them. I have a couple of theaters that every time a show comes on, as soon as the tickets go on sale, we'll send out an e-blast. And I charge $250 for one or three for 500. Most people will take the three.
I
Yeah.
actually did, it was funny because you mentioned Will Thomas. He puts out a digital newsletter, and I was doing a business to business using his content, which is what it was meant for. And those were some of our most opened and read and clicked on emails we've ever done.
And what was that again?
It was basically a business to business email, like, oh, maybe it had something to do with websites, or maybe it had something to do with email, or maybe it just had something to do with advertising, print advertising in general. And it was called 5 Questions.
5 for 5.
Yeah.
You mean that Will Thomas?
Yes, and I'll tell you what, and I picked and choose because I didn't want, it went a little more digital than I would have preferred, but those emails, and sometimes it was only 3 questions, sometimes there was only 2, but those were some of the most opened emails we ever had.
And it's because you chose the B2B to send it to.
Well, yes, yeah, I mean,
So
it was
that-
meant to.
That's one of the things with Constant Contact, and what I love about them is that when, in the case of sending out and putting people in your lists, to make sure that you place them in the right category or segment, as they call it, and then choosing only that, because then in the case of Constant Contact, they love you because they're seeing the click-through rate being higher than the industry, and the client loves you because of the fact of what you're getting. So sometimes it's not about having this huge list, but having the list that's right.
It's quality, not
Right.
quantity.
Yeah. I see a robin head.
One thing to know about email tracking these days, open rate is pretty useless.
It's a click-through.
It's a
You want click-throughs. Open
Yeah.
rate doesn't mean anything because many folks have disabled open rate tracking, mailbox providers. Or if I scroll through my emails on my phone, it shows it open for everyone that scrolled by, whether I opened it or not. So open rate means almost zero.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's a click-through.
Click-through.
It's really important.
Click-through rate.
Yeah.
Click-through
Open
rate.
rate is
Yeah.
useless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Delivered rate is a good thing. But open is useless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning more and more about it. Like Ron said, you want to scrub your lists because having a whole bunch of undeliverable emails in there.
Doesn't
So
help.
that's what's cool when a CRM system will actually take those undeliverable
Yes.
and feed it back in and say, hey, this is undeliverable.
Yeah.
Well,
It's really
then-
nice when that happens.
Well,
Right.
it's really nice when the CRM tells you if it's a valid email.
Valid
address or
email,
not.
right? Exactly. I use that all.
Right. Well, one of the things, like, if somebody gives me a list for a new account, the first thing I do is I send it to Constant Contact and say, check all these. Because sometimes they give me stuff they shouldn't. And the last thing you want is that first email going out and they red flag you with the Can't Spam Act, so, yeah.
And one thing,
I know we got off, I know we,
finish real quick. The other thing, if you're gonna do email marketing, email blasts or whatever, what's the most important thing that you need to have for an email?
Subject line.
Subject line. And then
Oh, yeah.
there's courses
Yes.
that you can take for how to write an effective subject line.
Ryan Dorn has a good
Yeah.
one on
Or
that.
there's a website that you can go in and
Yeah.
type in and it tells you
yes,
if it's a good,
yeah, Constant Contact has that
'Cause
already.
I'm sitting there, I always think, what am I gonna put in the subject
Yeah,
line to
same.
get them to open this?
Well, I learned how to write subject lines from people coming in and submitting classifieds at the Windsor Press. I thought, now, these people are really weird. They're bringing this classified and they think somebody's actually going to call them. They'd come in the next week with the very same ad, and they were making hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars on classifieds.
millions of dollars.
Maybe, $500,000.
I'm not exaggerating at all. Right?
No. Well, if it was cars, they could over a period of time if they, and they were, some of them were that.
Just bringing it back
So,
to cost.
yes, we're bringing cost cutting.
Do we still use Metro?
Oh, yes.
That, okay.
Oh,
How many use Canva?
I actually looked at our Metro subscription and found out, of course, we weren't using the auto portion of that subscription. And I called them and they took off the auto and gave us the special section, instead.
Section.
So something we can use more than what we were using, so that's also a good thing. Look at your subscription and call them if you're not, they'll tell you. I said, I think we want to get rid of the auto. And she looked at right on the phone and she said, oh yeah, you're not using that at all. So they just switched something I wanted with something that we didn't use anymore.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yep.
Art service, clip arts.
They also do editorial things too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Articles and things
Yeah,
like
we use
that.
a lot of their
If you want to
editorial.
subscribe to them for art or editorial.
Okay. Any other cost cutting that we're rounding back to the, really, the original? Love when you'd go the squirrel way. Yeah.
Yes.
Any other cost cutting ideas? What are some costs that you're seeing that are too high?
Paper. Paper, ink.
Paper, we're gonna explore different size pages coming up, you
Yeah.
know? Stock. Taking special sections that we used to do on glossy and put them on a real bright, high bright white stock.
Yep.
You know, we did that, what now, it's gonna be 3 years.
Since we changed the size of the paper,
Yeah, oh,
it was 2018.
yeah, it was 2018, so.
That was one of the
We're having
reasons.
fun. But it was funny, when I first started in '84, we had just switched from 6-column paper to a 5-column paper. 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, we went back from 5 columns back to 6 columns. Oh, really? And we cut the length of the page.
What
Yeah.
kind of costs have you cut already, John? What, have you cut costs already? Or-
Yeah, I'm trying to think what some of the recent ones were. Joy mentioned people, you know, we have people leaving and we're not replacing them. I think that's probably one of the biggest ones. You're just doing with less people. I mean, the pandemic really thinned it out. I think a lot of our composition department's down to skeleton crews. But it's nice because the people that are there want to be there. They want to work. They enjoy what they're doing and they do a bang-up job. I mean, you know, they come out with nice spec ads, they do nice work, they do nice layouts. Where we had some people that were there before that were just there for something to do 8 to 4 type of
So
thing.
John, you can look too, I think I did it in fall. I actually went around to find, because we have several people in our graphics department who are retiring between April and the end of the year. And it did a little research on, one of them was
Fiber?
Metro.
Oh.
I didn't look into fiber, but that's one of them. And the what's it called, the InDesign Pro 2 and Time Shamrock.
Yes.
I contacted all 3 of those to see if they could pick up some of the slack if we needed it. If, in case
Yep.
these people, at one time it was like, if you could replace them. Now it's to the point where, do we even want to think
You
about
wanna
replacing?
Yeah,
So-
Joe Nicastro just changed to using InDesign Pro.
Yeah, I talked to them. They
Yeah.
seem to be very,
We used them a little bit during the pandemic. When we were, I don't know, forget why, but it was, they did okay work, but I thought the communication was a little difficult.
well, I will tell
they
you, I was
offshore?
more impressed with Metro.
What?
Are they offshore?
Oh,
Communication?
they're in Ukraine.
So if you talk to Time Shamrock, they're all onshore.
They're in 6, Grant.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
they're live.
Yep.
And Metro was very reasonable.
Metro
Time
was.
Shamrock.
Yeah,
Oh, Metro.
yes, Metro was, and there was no contract, you didn't have to have a monthly minimum, you know.
I will say, I do have some experience, not directly, but through indirectly with the Time Shamrock. Now, this is going back a few years. When I was in Schuylkill County selling, they had come in and bought up a lot of the little papers in that area and took over the design out of the Scranton office and their publications. And immediately, the big negative was that the news that they were, now this is strictly to their newspapers that they were doing. It was dated. They couldn't get proofs because till that they were getting ads proofed and changes made. The paper was published. There was a lot of problem there. Now that was back probably 5 years ago, so I don't know where they are now, but I know that they are selling their graphics design department for that kind of thing, and I know a lot of people use them. So.
Yeah.
But.
Well, another cost thing we do had been doing bulk drops to retirement homes. Our area is polluted with retirement homes because apparently our
Everybody
community
wants
is
to
one of
live
the
in
top 10 places to retire to. So there's a lot of people living in communities, and we cut them out. We cut them out. We told them if you want the papers, well, come and get them. We'll bundle them and have them ready for you Wednesday at 9 o'clock, and it won't cost you anything. But by me not delivering them, it's going to save $100 a week. No big deal. That's not a lot.
But $100 a week can add up.
Yeah.
$5 grand a year, you know. So.
The other is, has anybody looked into internships from high schools, paid internships from high schools? As for graphic designing, for any content, like for me, we do email marketing, social media marketing, website, all that. Those are content creators for me. And I go to the high school, and what I ask is, high school, well, I will say this, with you going digital, you should consider, because I have right now,
We're not going digital.
well, let me say you're,
Digital,
yeah,
Well, that is a great idea if this takes off the way I'm hoping that it takes off.
right. And like I have with me, from an internship, she's with me going on 8 years. She stayed with me, I have two actually, that stayed with me all the way through college. She graduated from Kutztown University, 5 years with a magna cum laude. She takes care of all my website stuff. And she's like a dream. And Carl is at Penn State right now. He just called me because he takes care of my Google Ads. I don't, he does it all. I don't even touch it. So consider them and how when I'm reaching out and hiring somebody for that position, the ironic thing that I ask for is, do they love to read fiction? A person who loves to read fiction is a storyteller. And that's what it takes for posts and stuff like that. If you're doing it. Yeah. It's just crazy. And the reason Carl's with me is because he understood what it meant to proof. He didn't mess up. So, but yes. Any other cost cutting? Cost cutting? Okay. I think we're on the last. Where are we on time? 20. Okay. All right. Okay. Technology, building tech stack. The Baltimore Times Paris. Go for it. Have we?
I think we may have talked about that. I don't know.
Staff, did you say staff?
Tech staff.
No, tech stack, so.
So explain that.
I may have, so, based on where we are in our size, using the technology, in one case, we're signing up with something for social news desk ads and social news desk, and that's literally taking the place of a person. Like, how do we use technology, again, to cut costs? Because we had someone, and they were interning, so we were funded for Emma Bowen. But now we have technology that literally replaces
that, right? Because, again, so what we found out, this is really interesting, when you get into that whole digital space, so young people now even specialize on the platform. So someone that does Facebook, they don't do Instagram. And the Instagram person doesn't do Twitter. So when you're even hiring young people, they specialize it. I had no idea. So she did Facebook, but she's really an Instagram person. And so they're specializing in that. So I say all that to say, so she was our director of social media. So now with Social News Desk, we have these integrated platforms, I guess it's like Hootsuite, where you can schedule. But what's really great about Social News Desk and Social News Desk ads is that they go through your website, and the articles that get the most engagement, they turn them into ads. And so they're and then they create ads for you. And we had someone
That's
doing
great.
this with us, doing it with a whole lot of personality, but now we don't have that. So did I say that right? Okay.
Was that a nice way of saying it?
No.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
So we have less all of that, and I don't want to work, and I'm really bored. You know them, they just they do it, and they're like, well, I'm ready to go home, like all of that. And now you have a team that is, that ask the right questions. What's your strategy? They want to make sure that it strengthens the brand, but there are a whole lot of things that come along with it. So we're looking at a lot of different technology that helps with the economy.
Yeah.
And bring less of a strain on our team. So.
Yeah, I get that some people are into one platform over another, but
that's how they do it now. And then, mind you, they only want to work like part-time. And so their feeling is, I've done everything I could in 2 hours. Like, I had nothing else to do.
Right.
And all of this attitude.
They want an 8-hour paycheck for it.
Right.
Oh, attitude.
Oh, excuse me, did I say that? Yeah, it was funded, and she was like,
I don't want to work for a fortune.
then I'd be finding something else for her.
And yeah, but that's how they do. I had no idea that they specialize in these platforms.
Yeah.
We had a speaker a number of years ago in one of the MACPA conferences that discussed, I think it was a MACPA conference. She was strictly a social media person.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Wasn't
her?
it?
She was young. But
My daughter.
Margaret's daughter. Yeah.
I can't remember. I don't remember her being your daughter, but maybe I didn't know that back then either. But
Yeah.
I remember, and she was saying about how as they get bigger, you're going to have just a Facebook person and just an
That's
Instagram
exactly
person.
what
and just
I will tell you that we
yeah, this
now
was
have.
back. That was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know.
And part of the reason for that is
I'm not sure. I didn't know that.
Facebook has a certain following, and you're not going to find the younger generation on Facebook, hello, poo-poo, TikTok. Instagram, they're not even doing that anymore.
Right.
They're moving to TikTok. Yep.
So we had, with the changes that that are upcoming in our graphics department with people retiring, we now have a digital coordinator who is helping us with the January Springs digital. We just put a new website up. She's in charge of that.
Is she doing your social media these days?
She
Because
is.
I've noticed a lot
Yes.
more.
Yeah, so she's gonna be, and luckily, she's one of those people who's pretty good on most of the platforms because so
Yep.
she uses most of those, including some I don't even know about. But so we have somebody now who specializes in that, and she's a long-term employee, so it worked out very well. But she's definitely up on that kind of stuff, whereas I'm not.
I was going to ask how you found her, but it's someone you already
She's
know.
been with us over 30 years.
Yeah,
And that's good, so she understands the brand.
Correct.
You're not having to
Yes.
Yeah.
do that oversight,
to learn
right?
the
Because,
industry.
this is what they're doing now. Well, this doesn't fit within the brand. We want you to do this.
Right.
What
Kind
was
of
she,
thing.
what was she
So-
doing before?
She was in graphic design.
She started in graphics. She was our Mac specialist for a long time because all our Macs are in our graphics department. And then our IT guy left, and she took over that. Well, it was a lot.
Yeah.
So we actually outsourced our IT, and now this position will be digital, more like a digital in-house person, so.
That's good.
Thank God, because with this January, spring and digital platforms, I'm like, I don't get this. She says, well, I'm thinking it's this. And then she can explain it to me in English.
English.
So I
Yeah.
can understand it better.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
totally. Yes,
Well, we're on the topic, and this is, I'm going back probably 25 years to ACP, IFPA, NACPA conferences, when the conversation was always about, do you hire a digital advertising specialist, or do you allow your digital advertising to be handled by your newspaper salespeople?
and we're still asking that question.
I think
We're using our advertising, our print media advertising salespeople to sell digital now. We're gonna see how that works.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I think that I'm optimistic this
The
time,
nice-
that it's gonna work.
The nice thing that we have, and I'm sure a lot of you do, I know John, with having being around as long, you have those long-term like so for instance, I've been dealing with Good Store, which is who I presented the digital package to just this week. And I mean, I have a weekly stop with him. I meet with him for probably 30 to 40 minutes every week, and we chat about what we're doing in his advertising, what we're doing, you know, everything coming up. And so for me talking to him about this, I can fumble through it, and he understands. Right. He understands it's new for us, so he's given me leeway, and he doesn't, you know, if I misstate or use the wrong terminology for something, it's kind of a learning curve for both of us, and I think he's fine with that. So the nice thing about having long-term relationships with the print media folks, salespeople, is that they also can use that relationship that they have built to kind of get their feet wet with this until they understand it more.
Right.
And I think that's where hopefully it works out for us, that it's an advantage, so.
Well, first thing he said is, when you go out to pitches, first time, go to somebody that you're very comfortable with, and
Right.
you have a very good rapport with, because they'll allow you to fumble a little, not hold your feet to the fire if you say one thing and it turns out the next. Right. And if they ask questions, just say, I'm not sure about that, let me find that out for you.
And they'll respect you more for that answer than and making up something.
But that all starts
Definitely.
with,
Right,
one-on-one conversations, not a text.
right,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Face-to-face
Yes.
is better.
So how are we on time?
It's 3:30, we need to be back in here at 5:30. I
Right.
did want to say one thing that's off topic.
Yes.
It goes against everything I always preach about, but there's a New England company moving into our region. It's called Ocean State Job Lots. They're like an Ollie's, a discounter.
Yeah.
Okay.
They like print, so if you need information, I've been successful with some nice sales from them so far.
We just got them too in our
Yeah,
Reading
so,
market.
if you need, if you need contact information, just put your email address on the back of a $20 bill.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I love John. I do.
I love that.
Not Monopoly.
Not monopoly money.
that at the beginning.
Come on, Mark.
All right.
Try that. I like that.
Also a heads up for those, what they're called Save Now, they were the Smart Shopper or the Red Plum, you know, the wrap that has all the things in it. They're going to a solo piece.
Yes.
We've just gotten small quantities, but we've gotten a few customers back.
Nice.
Very small quantities, so please be aware.
And I know some of the bigger grocery store people are seeking out information, so they're
We
starting.
just got Giant.
Yep, Giant.
back
I know
in
Redner's is
some of our
looking
papers.
because,
Very small
They
quantities.
don't want to do that with them.
well, they're, instead of charging them, it has to do with the mail cost. I guess
Yeah.
they're solo mailing them instead of group mailing them with the packet.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so a lot of them, all of a sudden, within a couple
Yeah.
weeks, we've been getting all this feedback from them, like wanting rates for
Yep.
distribution and everything
Great,
else.
great, great. That's good to know.
An agency
So be
told me
proactive on that.
And the agency told me this week that I don't know if it was Red Plum, but someone like Red Plum, they just dropped 1,500 zip codes
Yeah.
across it, so that may be the ripple effect.
And that's
Well,
why,
and if
like
you-
Redner said that now in those areas, they got to solo mail their flyers that they were inserting with them, so the
Wow.
cost is through the roof,
Well, and
so.
if you remember, this piece was put together by Molasses.
Yes, correct.
So, yeah, they're still, it's still Molasses, but then they moved all their insertions over to Agenti. So, but yeah, it's, and we had, I mean, hundreds of thousands of, I remember having Verizon 65 times one year.
Wow,
Yeah.
yep,
So
Cool.
hopefully it's a little hope for all of us.
Yes.
To get some of these inserts back.
yep. Great. This is all good. This is all good. So this whole roundtable concept, I love it and feel like, you know, I know Nancy, who had been at Savings Guide, one of the things she said about the last conference was that the 3-minute idea exchange was the best thing that we had that day. And I thought to myself, when we were thinking, do we want to get a speaker or whatever, I went back to that. And I thought, why don't we use a similar concept for the round table for this? And then it was like, oh, how do I handle the round table? And the fishbowl was staring at me. Okay.
We want to win something.
You won.
Names back
You,
in.
well, you all won with ideas. Do you want my, I don't have